You know the Rump Shaker song?
Rump Shaker.
Yes,
Yeah.
you do. All I want to do is zoom, 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 zoom.
Yeah.
And a boom boom.
It's not a boom boom. It's a poom poom.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
What the fuck is a poom poom?
I don't know, but that's the actual lyrics. All I want to do is zoom, 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 and a poom poom. Just shake your rump. Check, baby, 1, 2, 3.
Okay, so let's
So yeah.
record the intro now. Just
So what did Milkless? Because I think we start with the name.
two dads. We love our kids, but then we also need them to know that we're like pretty cool and it's not like a wimpy podcast. So, hey,
Hey.
Milkless.
Hey, welcome. Hey.
Hey, Milkless. Call the audience, Milkless. What's up, Milkless? Matt, Max, coming at you.
What if that's it? That's our first take. On this episode of the podcast, we are joined again by the fantastic Caitlin Murray of Big Time Adulting fame. She's just honestly one of our favorite people. And this is basically three people who talk about parenting on social media, talking about why they don't really like it most of the time when people talk about parenting on social media. We're trying to figure out what that is, where that comes from. Mostly we're trying to laugh. Here we go.
All right, Matt, today we have Caitlin Murray with us back again. She's part of the Milkless
Recurring
sphere
character. Friend of the show.
Exactly.
Thanks for doing this.
Basically, we're all on Instagram and social media and stuff, and sometimes as a user, as a parent, it can make us feel not so great.
And make me hate people a little bit too, you know?
I think it's the prescriptive element of it where here's what you got to do, and if you don't, a veiled kind of thing of saying you're fucking up.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it could be as small as seeing children who are dressed in clean clothing, where I'm like, oh man,
Yeah.
my kids never look nice. Sometimes I think my daughter looks like Tanya Harding all of the time because she just looks like
Pre or post kneecap.
either or. She's been trash her whole life, so
She kind of...
it's fine either way.
It's true.
It actually hit me while she was at an ice skating lesson, and I was seeing all these like little girls in like cute little outfits and stuff, and Faye was just like in some like ripped knee leggings and some dirty ass winter coat, and I was like, she's Tanya.
But isn't that
Nice
better?
out there.
Like, do you really want to have the kid who's in like the perfect ice skating tutu or whatever they
It
wear?
just that'll never happen to me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Even if I wanted to, I don't know if I could get that together.
Yeah, and I don't think you want to.
I guess it's just not me.
Yeah.
Also, you're so good at that. I feel like what happens to me a lot, or I think a lot of people, is I believe the same things you believe, but then sometimes can get kind of hoodwinked into it. You're watching somebody and they're saying, here's how you do it. Does your kid do this? Like, if you scream at them, like you're causing years of trauma, here's the better way to do it. And it's like, I oftentimes appreciate the information, especially if it's coming from science or a PhD, but just the way they package it up makes me want to punch him in the nose.
Yeah.
You know, like, is that my own shit where it's like, I'm just insecure about my parenting, that like, I don't like disliking people, but it's like, I fucking hate these people.
Sometimes also, to be like dead dog honest with you guys, is I can control my own emotions for the most part. I mean, I certainly will fly off the handle sometimes, like during high pressure cooker situations where it's like trying to leave for school, stuff like that. By the way, it sounds like your chair is farting as you move, which is...
Is that the chair?
But it's
or is
not that
It's a neck fart that I do.
Yeah, cool.
It's not even necessarily that I feel bad about what I'm doing or saying. It's sometimes I just feel bad straight up about the way that I'm feeling on the inside. Like, I'm feeling like I'm not enjoying this right now. I'm feeling like I'm going to lose my fucking mind right now. Why can't I chill out? Or is this just the norm?
Well, and I think that's part of what, particularly with the prescriptive stuff, when they're like, when your kids do this, you do this. I feel like what that leaves out is the internal experience that I'm having. So it's like, that's all well and good to know what you're supposed to do. But the things that I struggle with the most as a parent, the things I fuck up the most as a dad, got nothing to do with knowing what I should do. It's about like my ability to do them, which comes down to how I'm feeling inside. And so when they're like, when your kids do this, you do this, implicit in that is like, you be totally calm and be exactly the person you want to be. to me, that's just unhelpful. I'm like, what I need help with is my own bullshit.
Yeah.
That's the hard part about parenting is not knowing what to do. It's acting how I want to act.
Yeah, I feel like most human beings kind of know the right or wrong ways to operate around kids, right? It's just like, can you actually execute that when you're in a pressure cooker?
Yeah, and if you're like a verbally abusive, like total shithead parent, you're not going to be watching Instagram for parenting thing. Your
Right.
feed is not
Right.
that. So the people who are consuming this stuff, let's say us, it's not like we know everything, but like I'll ace it for so long. And then something so minor will just set me off. And then I'll just like completely attack my children. And then it's like, what the fuck? And then it's like, I'll open something up and then some influencer is like, did your kid throw their food? Did you say, we don't do that in this home? Well, next time it's like, motherfucker, I know about the next time.
Yeah.
Like I know this.
Yeah.
Flying off the handle is never a conscious decision.
It's not like,
it's never
No, like, oh, I chose
like, this feels
to
right.
absolutely lose my shit when I was actually feeling pretty calm.
Yeah.
I'll give you guys an example. The other day before school, it's like always fucking before school when I've made 6 meals, 3 breakfasts, 3 lunches, make that 7 because my own breakfast. They just do not listen in the morning. I don't know if you guys are having the same issue, but like my kids, I still have to, an 8 and a 10-year-old are my oldest, to put their shoes on 5 times.
Yeah.
No kidding. And I'm like, did your fucking ears fall off? What is going on here? And then, so anyway, the other day I'm in the kitchen and my younger 2 are playing and they're screaming. There's so much screaming going on. And I calmly had said, like, you guys, get out of the kitchen. I don't want to hear this screaming in here right now. Like firm, but like not screaming at them, right? And then they run out of the kitchen and they're still screaming somewhere else. And then like my little guy comes running back into the kitchen and my daughter comes running behind him and she just lets out this monster scream. And it's like literally like right on my ass, like right behind me. And I just like, I turned around and I grabbed her by the shoulders and I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Billy Madison, like, don't say that, stay here. But that's the most physical I ever get, like a grasp her by the shoulders and be like, look at me in the eyes. What are you doing right now? I literally just told you to stop screaming. But in those moments, I'm like, I don't know the alternative. Like, there's nothing that
The alternative
works
like
often.
takes 40 minutes that you don't have.
Yeah.
And the only time I've ever done that right is like, it's a Saturday, you don't have anywhere to be, you're trying to leave, and I'm like fully well rested.
it's just not real life scenarios.
And so those situations happen, like especially when you are in a time pressure cooker. And then in the back of your mind, you're thinking of some parenting psychologist that said, if your daughter screams at the top of their lungs, we've all been there. We grab them and scream in their face. What are you doing? Like, here's what to do instead. And it's like, so you're like, oh, thank you. I will next time I'll do that thing you do. And then like, I don't know why I'm a quarter Chinese. I'm allowed to do strange accents.
Yeah,
But only
bring
for
that
a
out
short
more
amount of
often.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the next time it happens, you're thinking back like, oh yeah, do what they said.
Yeah.
Do what they said to do.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's just not like that, like, but that
A
takes
hot take on
time.
this.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so, which I don't like to say that word, by the way, hot take, but
2 words.
I don't know what those words. What is another? I'll think of something better to use.
We
in
got a
place
whole
of hot
episode
take,
series
but-
called Hot Takes, so
Okay.
please
But
continue.
our feelings aren't hurt. Not really.
All right, so
It's Matt's
like,
idea, so
Go ahead.
my thought is that all of us, like typical parents, are doing this on a regular basis. Like, we're going to lose our tempers from time to time when our kids like push the limits too far, or if it's, just day after day of not getting your shoes on. And it's like, and by the way, it doesn't necessarily even mean like you're mad or overly aggressive, but sometimes you just need to raise your voice to get them to listen, to put your shoes on, like that. And then they'll stop and be like, oh, shit, I got to put my shoes on. I did hear that actually 7 times already. Oh, yeah, now it's
Sounds
louder.
familiar.
I get it, right?
Now that it's loud, it sounds
But
familiar.
like, I feel like we all are doing that. And that when we like rag on the sort of narrative around being a gentle parent and what that means, and like also shut the fuck up about it, like type thing, that the people who are triggered by that are coming from homes where there were like extremely explosive parents, like at all times, and that they are doing some kind of massive overcorrecting for like some trauma going on from their childhoods, which is probably also not the solution. Like the massive overcorrection in the other direction doesn't also necessarily yield the results you're like. The middle is always kind of the way.
And also,
like,
gentle parenting has been sort of stolen by some super softies, where gentle parenting is actually, I think, based on authoritative
parenting.
Yeah.
Rebranded.
Boundaries.
It's a fucking
But yeah, you give love and nurturing.
marketing
They can talk
scheme.
about it, but then some people use it to be totally permissive and just like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
Or just like this sense of serious calmness all the time. Like, I believe that there are people who work so hard at staying calm and not raising their voice because they're triggered by like loud parenting, explosive, like scary yelling. But to me, there is a fucking time and a place for a change of volume in your voice that I actually am fine with my kids being accustomed to hearing.
And even if it's not your goal, I mean, God, there's some like new research coming out about the connection between like repressed anger and autoimmune disease.
Whoa.
It's early stage research, but like just slamming down your own impulses all the time can't be healthy for you. Like anger is a part of our lives. And with the example you were giving, when your kid runs behind you and screams at the top of their lungs, like, I don't know if you get this, but I scare the shit out of my wife all the time. Just walking through the house. I walk into a room and if she doesn't expect me to be there, she like screams. Yeah. I'll be sitting in a chair and she'll walk in the room and I'll scare her. Like we're all in a little bit of fight or flight all the time because the
but
kids are just.
you haven't like
Yeah.
beat her in like at least a year, right?
Look, I just want her to be
When's
better.
the last time? She hasn't
so
burnt
dark.
dinner since January.
Yeah. She hadn't fucked up lately. No. But I just think we're fried all the time. So I think when somebody suddenly screams behind you, you're not even responding to them with the rational part of your brain.
Yeah.
Ah!
Yeah.
And the way to solve this is not to just like swallow it down, serenity now, insanity later. Like it's deal with the shit. Like Matt and I are really bad about sleeping. Like every time that I do blow up on my kids, it's because I got 4 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
And, are hungover or something. Oh, that's strange. Like I haven't done that in a while, and that's exactly why. The thing about screaming, though...
By the way, speaking of being hungover, do you guys at this point in your lives, 40-ish, contemplate like sobriety ever because of how bad hangovers are at this age?
I mean, from the hours of 5 a.m. to 10 a.m., never again. Never again, but...
I mostly don't drink. But
Yeah.
I've always kind of liked weed a little more anyways.
Okay.
And I find the hangovers
Yeah.
don't exist.
Yeah, there you
so,
go.
yeah, I mean, I think like that's what drives me crazy about all the like, when they do this, try saying this. You've removed the fact that I'm a human being from this equation. And the things that I feel like will make me a better parent are things like making sure I get enough sleep, finding ways to be calm, like spending time outside. Like I can handle all that shit better when I do those things to take care of myself. When I don't, it doesn't matter how much I know what I'm supposed to do. What I do has got nothing to do with that.
I don't see you operate in your day-to-day life, but you strike me as a pretty calm guy.
Yeah, you'd think. But I mean, I've like hollered some pretty horrendous things at my children before, like
Yeah.
all the rest of us. I would not describe myself as calm. I think I present that way. Because I think I need everybody to know that I am always okay.
That's the perfectionist people pleaser in you.
Yeah, I got a little bit of a pleaser and a little bit of like, he's the lucky one. He's like always just kind of fine.
Yeah.
But no, I definitely don't feel calm all the time. I don't think many of us feel calm.
I hardly ever feel calm these days.
Yeah, I would say the same thing.
I'm
I
pretty
feel
like
like there's
high
something
strung.
to do.
Yeah.
And it's been exercise for me to try to be calm around the kids, just to enjoy the moment. For many years when the kids were younger, I was always like, what's the next thing we're going to do? Whether it's the next meal or like, what are we going to do that's fun next?
Yeah.
It's always like at lunch thinking about dinner.
Yeah, that's fully who I am. My husband is much more in the moment. He's like, oh, it's dinner time. Is anyone getting hungry type thing? I've been thinking about this since the fucking moment I've today. Like, all I want you to do is bring this up in the morning once in a while. Just what are we going to eat all day long? That's all I want to.
Caitlin had the crock pot going since 10 a.m.
Yeah, rock and roll.
I want to go back to something that you said earlier because I thought of something really insightful and funny that I didn't get to say.
Oh, no.
So,
all right, everybody
Turn the
shut the fuck
conversation
up.
back to me.
Everybody
so
shut
about
up.
the
Go,
anger
Max.
thing, you were saying anger sometimes it works and you got to do it. I feel like it's like antibiotics a little bit, where it eventually will lose its effectiveness.
True.
Because I've had friends ask, since we're doing the podcast, like asking, like, what do you do? Like, I'm raising my voice. I can't get the kids to put their fucking shoes on. It's the exact same thing. I think it works when it works, but then if you use it too much, it stops working.
I haven't found a better way. I mean, I've tried a lot of different strategies at this point, like making checklists for the kids, like before we leave the house, like so that I'm not on them for each thing that they have to do. Get me your lunch bag out. Make sure your backpack's packed. You don't want about it. Buy your snack. And I'm just like, get your shoes on at the end of it.
Yeah.
And so I've tried to mitigate that by making checklists and stuff. After a week or two, it all kind of falls back to the same old regular routine. And I actually think my kids are really good kids. They are actually wonderful in school with listening and following directions and paying attention and stuff. And if they save the bullshit for me at home, I'm also kind of okay with that. But you're going to get my fucking wrath if you're not listening to me.
Yeah, they save it for you because they know you love them no matter what. In this weird fucked up way, you need them to know you love them no matter what.
Yes.
But that's why they give you shit too. And I think why moms often catch more shit than dads even, because they're like, well, I can do anything to mom.
Yes.
You know,
always loves
always.
me. Yeah. I mean, even if I scream at them before we're leaving the house, and then it's all right, get over here, give me a hug before you go. Don't get you're not going anywhere without a hug and a kiss too.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm pissed at them or there's this lingering anger or anything like that. It's just all right, moving on.
Yeah.
Let's try to do better tomorrow. Every day.
Every day. Yeah. Yeah. And my daughter one time, it was over the summer and she was just talking about poop so much. And I was just I'd had it and I couldn't get her to stop talking about poop. And I just couldn't get her to stop. And even when I want to get her to stop, if I see an opportunity for a really good fart joke, I'm still going to make it. So I wasn't setting an ideal example. But anyways, I told her when she was about to start school again, I was like, I think you got to take it easy with this because your teachers aren't going to love it. You're talking about shit all the time. And she just goes, oh, I'd never at school. I would never talk like this at school. And I was like, well, why do you talk about it around me? And she's like, I don't get in trouble really.
She knows her audience.
She knows her audience. And she's like, I know you don't like it, but I know you're not going to nothing's going to happen to me. So this is my best chance to do it.
Yeah.
I was like, I want it to be, but I'd also like you to.
And I actually think there's something to be said for that. You can let, go back to the repressed anger thing or whatever it is. When you can let that stuff out in certain places or when and where to appropriately use certain voices, certain language, whatever.
Yeah.
That's actually being pretty well acclimated socially.
And we did a bunch of research for our profanity episode that the more profanity the higher your vocabulary is in general. It's it's also seen as a sign of...
You know everything.
Charts.
I mean, the best is when you can make up a fresh one. Can you make up a fresh profanity right now that no one's ever heard or said?
Oh, man. That's a good challenge.
Yeah,
I was just thinking, I don't know why this one popped into my head, but I think that I just would like to call an asshole guy a real shit dick.
Shit dick is good. That's so gross. It's
so
what makes
gross.
it good. It's really gross.
Super profane, right?
Shit dick.
It's such a shit dick. You might have just started something there.
Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by Milkless. We are self-funded, self-sponsored. Matt and Max, we're spending way too much time a week on this for your listening pleasure. So, if you want to help out, please visit our Patreon. Just kidding, we don't fucking do Patreon. We're not asking for any money. All we want is for you to text this to a friend. So, if you could pause the episode right now, think of someone who might benefit from Milkless. Maybe it's a dad you know, a mom you know, someone
Think of the shittiest father you know.
No, that shittiest father doesn't care enough to listen. But someone who maybe likes podcasts and, the thought of a parenting podcast is oh my God, it's so dry. You can tell them how funny I am and how Matt
also says things sometimes.
Yeah. You need a dictionary to understand half of the things he's saying because he likes to show his big vocabulary.
Oh my god.
So,
read a book, Max.
Anyway, what was I saying? So just pause the episode right now. Text a friend. It means so much to us, and you will ensure that we will continue making these episodes free of charge forever.
But I remember we were doing an episode on something, and we started talking about shouting. That you had pulled some studies on like correlating shouting and like how bad is it to actually shout.
Yeah.
And my argument was like all shouting. There are times when I raise my voice, particularly if my two daughters are going at it, because they'll get louder and louder and louder and louder. And then it's just totally unreasonable.
Yeah.
And I kind of got to like from across the room, it's just like, hey, to me, what I'm keeping track of much more is like, am I still making choices about what I'm doing? When I feel like I fucked up is when that part of my brain that does not go through the rational filter of who I want to be
took over.
And it doesn't matter. That guy's not always even loud.
Yeah.
Sometimes that guy growls very quietly and it's not kind.
Yeah. Do you think that there are things that, well, you said sleep and stuff like that, that truly help? I just, to be honest, I don't know if I'll ever get to that place when there are certain situations going on.
I don't think so either.
Like,
I'm just trying to.
I'm just going to be the mom who loses her shit sometimes when it feels like the right time that I need to lose my shit.
I don't mind losing my shit when it feels like the right time to lose my shit. I don't want to lose my shit when it doesn't even feel like the right time to lose my shit. I mean, there have been times when it's like, I'll think my daughter is asleep and I'm done. And then she'll roll over and say something like, I had a scary thought.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
are you serious right now?
I do not want to hear it. Like, we've been back here for 2 hours. And so she's just alone with her scary thoughts.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, fuck this, I'm done. That feels shittier to me than like, hey.
Yeah.
Because that I meant to do.
But sometimes when they say they have a scary thought, it's like, do you have a scary thought? Are you trying to get me to stay in your room longer at night?
Yeah.
Are you manipulating the situation?
Yeah. And it can be hard to tell the
Because I'm
difference between
fucking
those.
tired.
Like, my whole thing is like, have the plan where the plan is not anger, but give yourself a pass that like half the time, if you lose it, then just repair after and like don't feel shitty about it, which is so hard to do, where my goal is not to yell, but just know that you're going to yell a major percentage of the time.
Do you guys feel like I know, okay, so you only have daughters, but do you feel like you're harder on your boys than your girl, or is it equal?
I was probably definitely harder on the boys, but I think it could have been.
They're
'cause
also
were the
your
first two
firstborn.
kids.
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
Also, boys are just not to get into gender stuff, but like boys are just a little more wrestly and a little more injury, like smash their teeth and hurt the kids that I love so much, but they're the ones doing it. So that triggers something in me. When I'm like, guys, stop! It's a little rough.
Yeah.
Take your socks off. You're gonna slip. And then something happens and there's blood or something. And then it's so hard for me in that moment to have empathy.
Like
and not
I
just
told
be
you
like,
so.
See?
Yeah.
See what happens?
Yeah.
When you don't listen.
Like, oh, I'm hurt, Dad. I'm like, well, like, I don't like when my kids get hurt. I'm going to get mad at the aggressor, even if it's a self-inflicted wound,
Yeah.
which is a little weird.
Yeah.
I think I'm harder on my daughter than I am on my sons.
Interesting.
I think I am more triggered by her than I am the boys. The boys are also just, I think of boys as just like, I don't want to say not thinking, but I think that they act on like pure instinct a lot more than girls. Like girls think about things all the
So
time.
it feels more premeditated.
I think that's part of it. And then I also think that I'm just like less hard on the boys because I don't presume that they're being premeditated at all in any of their things. And then things that I would have done that my daughter doesn't do. Like she's not a people pleaser, really, especially like with me and at home. And I don't even think that that's a good quality in me. But I'll see her kind of like blatantly do stuff that like she doesn't give a fuck what I think about this decision or whatever. And I'm like, that is triggering to me.
Yeah.
That you're not trying to like appease this situation and make it like smoother.
Like you had to when
Like
you were a kid.
Yeah.
My mom tells a story of my dad at one point. I mean, our parents' generation, my dad's dad, is it a Jim Gaffigan joke? Like, I have taken more pictures of my child than times my dad looked at me. My dad wasn't getting told that they loved him a lot, and there was a lot of structure in his house.
Yeah.
And then we weren't raised that way. I think my mom and dad parented differently and did a great job. But my mom says that when we were young, my dad went to her one time and said, "When is it my turn?" When I was a kid, I had to do whatever the adults told me. And now I'm the adult and my kids don't have to do that. When is it my turn to actually be in charge?
Oh.
And that is a hell of a fucking feeling because it doesn't feel fair. If you were a pleaser and had to be a pleaser when you were a kid, now you have this daughter that I'm going to shit about pleasing you. It's like, when is it my turn?
Yeah.
But that again comes back to like knowing that about yourself, that like what gives you a quicker fuse with her is ultimately
my own
about
personal triggers. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why, again, going back to the things that like piss us off, it's not like we need the script to what to do or say to our kids. We actually know what the right thing is to do, but we need to like work on ourselves as to why certain things make us go.
And
like,
knowing
flip
what your
the
triggers
switch.
are is so important. Like Matt can help me realize that one of mine is I can't let my kids be upset. I want everybody to have a good time all the time. I'm like, I don't let the kids comply in a grumpy fashion. I want everybody to like me.
Yeah.
I'm the fun dad.
Yeah.
So, but he's allowed to be a little grumpy there.
Yeah, because it's like, do the thing you don't want to do and be fucking happy about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, yeah. But like that shit don't sell as good on Instagram. I mean, it's just hard work. Like what you said earlier, you said you very seldom feel calm. I don't think I knew through my 20s and 30s the extent to which my body was always just like fucking ready to go. Tense. The best thing I could do as a parent is figure that shit out. Not like learn the right formula, the right order of words to say during a tantrum. It's to like figure out how to make my body feel calmer more of the time, which is so much harder. And meeting with limited success so far.
I think from my perspective as mom, like I'm home most days, all day, every day. So I'm both like working, but also primary caretaker. My husband is out of the house from like the moment he wakes up, pretty much he's gone before anyone in our house wakes up, and home towards the end of the day, like 7 o'clock often is like a very normal time for him to arrive back. So I feel calm today. Like I feel calm not being in my like usual environment at home with all the at home things to do, where I'm like out working for the day.
Yeah.
And that is definitely like a part of the mental load that I am carrying all day long. It leaves me such little space for like bullshit with the kids that I think I'm more apt to explode when they're just not listening to me. And I'm trying to be calm for like, you know, the first few rounds.
Yeah.
But then it's like, all right, now I'm going to lose my shit because you didn't put your shoes on yet. Like, it's the number one thing I feel like example people use with putting shoes on. Why is it that?
Because they won't.
Time.
Well, and because it's like an example of like, you have to carry all of the responsibility. Like they won't put their shoes on because there's like a butterfly outside, or because like, have you seen that speck on the floor?
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't get to be present at all because I got to carry your whole frontal brain.
Yes.
That you haven't developed yet. I got to have my frontal brain and your frontal brain. Yeah. I was not aware I had a temper until I had kids. I don't have a temper at work. I can deal with very frustrating people in my work life and not
let it get to you.
I mean, it'll get to me, but I can still always make choices about the way I'm acting. Even when I'm frustrated, I can still think.
Well, there's so much fucking irrationality with kids.
Yeah.
And you can't just walk away from them.
Yeah.
Because they need you to be there. Like, you can't even just be like, I'm actually going to go get a coffee and take a quick break or take a walk around outside or something like that. If you have like a 2-year-old who's driving you fucking insane, you can't leave them.
They're like, I'm going to follow you and keep screaming is what's going to happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man. And then the other thing that Max and I talk about a lot is like, well, probably we weren't supposed to do this like by ourselves in our single family homes. We were supposed to do this with a lot of other people.
The village, though, everybody talks about.
Everybody talks about the village, and then
There
it's
is
like
no
impossible
such thing
to
as
put
the
it
village.
together. No, I mean, no. We're kind of trying to figure out how that works, but step one is always make just so much money. And then step two is build a village. Yeah.
Yeah. You can buy a village.
Buy a
If
village.
you'd like to.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think what's hard about the shoes thing is that you really just feel like you're the only ones. With the villages, you saw how other people parented all the time, and you didn't feel so weird. And you made me think of something when you said, you know, my kids are actually like really good.
Yeah.
And like, I feel the same way. Like, our kids are fucking incredible, so well behaved, so good. But yet there is still this like ongoing feeling that they're just like trying to fuck with me all the time.
Yeah.
And it's like harder for us than anybody else. And I think until you have the village, which we're never going to have in this modern world, but that's why what you're doing is super interesting, because it's like, oh, you're actually talking about real shit, and you're not making me feel like shit. Like, hey, did you scream at your kid? Like, I did it too. But here's how to not do it next time. It's like, Okay. So you're still basically saying that I'm a shitty parent.
Right. Right. So like
Yeah.
you're just this is the nice way of telling me I fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even beyond like the experts, like the childhood experts and stuff out there, it's also, you know, just the images of like the moms who are posting fun activities that they're doing with their kids all the time and stuff like that. I fucking hate arts and crafts. Like, I want nothing to do with doing arts and crafts with my kids. Like, glitter is the herpes of the arts and crafts world. Like,
Once you
just
have
get
it.
that out of my house, please.
Yeah.
Like, it
Yeah.
never goes away.
Yeah.
I don't want to do stuff like that. But then, like, these are things that you can show on display that you do with your kids. And there's so much that you can do that is, like, not Instagram worthy, like, as a parent, that doesn't mean you're not doing enough. You know what I mean? It's like, what if you told a couple of jokes to your kid and actually made them laugh their asses off a few times today or something like that? Or, like, had a dance party. I mean, I post dance parties, but, like...
And also, I find that many of my kids' activities go better when I don't take the time to set up a tripod first. You know?
Yeah.
It's like, I didn't film that one.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing I always get when it's like somebody's like handling a tantrum perfectly. I'm like,
Yeah.
that shot is locked off. So
Yeah.
set up the tripod before you went and took care of that kid.
Yeah.
You know, just saying. Yeah, I know what you mean. The dad version of that is like building shit. It's like I built a whole climbing wall from whatever.
yeah.
and,
No, but
like,
climbing wall, that's like normal. There's other shit out there that like, this is how you POV, like how you basically make an entire class of dads feel like shit.
yeah.
It's like,
yeah, sponsored by T-Mobile.
yeah, just like,
Yeah.
my God.
It is funny though. It's, you know, you started off with the first example you used was that your daughter looks like Tanya Harding when she goes skating, which is something that you don't give a shit about. You don't care,
No.
right? That's not a value you have.
No.
The other kids are kind of like you don't want to be those other kids, and yet we started off this conversation about why does Instagram piss us off so much, and then we just talked for 20 minutes about like when we fail and shout at our kids.
Yeah.
They're like, it is ripe for shame. I think
Yeah.
that like most parents who really give a shit harbor deep fears that they are fucking up in meaningful ways.
Yes.
And actually a fair amount of certainty. Like, who of us comes out unscathed from our childhood?
That's so true. Like we're all getting fucked up a little bit.
Yeah.
Or we're all fucking our kids up a little bit because that's what humans are, flawed.
Yes. Yeah. Because we're flawed. And so some of the time, like there is like an obnoxious component to that like influencer parent thing. And I know that like we're all kind of live in that world. I think we all try to not make people feel bad. But anyways, they don't have to be trying to make you feel bad to make you feel bad because it's pretty ripe for shame. Like I go there pretty quick.
And the natural inclination is to show everybody your highlight reel. Like, I remember thinking like, oh, I'm doing a cool thing with my kids. I should film this and like put it
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
because then,
Because that's what people do on social media, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what we have to show that we're doing things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's like, it goes back to even just like when we were kids, like the photo album.
Yeah.
Put all your best. Oh, someone came over. Remember that was a thing that we did when friends, my parents' college friends came over. Be like, let's look at the photo albums. It's basically
It
they're
sucked then too.
It sucked. Yeah,
Yeah, it's always sucked.
This is what I cannot figure out. The parenting experts who are saying really good shit that is rooted in science, I still cannot stand them. And I'll send stuff to Matt, and he'll write back just like, hate. Like,
Just straight hate.
kill,
Yeah.
kill. But a lot of times they're making good points. But I don't know, something of it's
Are
so
they?
grating.
But are they?
Is it a point that you already knew? You know, did you already know that point? You know, I definitely have a couple of experts that I love that don't make me feel bad ever. That just give a thoughtful piece of content
Like
that is
Emily
like,
Oster.
well, I love her.
Can you identify like what makes those folks different?
I think that it's more validation, less advice. You know, like if you've felt this way, it's probably because of this. Not like if you felt this way and then done this, don't do that. Do this.
Yeah,
You know?
Yeah.
But it's more like I see you in this, right? Like I see you, not I'm telling you what to do. It's more like I get it. I get you.
Yeah.
This is valid. And then I think that like from that place stems being seen and wanting to make a change on your own. Like
Yeah.
sometimes that dissipates anger, just feeling seen, you know? Like,
That's what they tell us all the time with our kids. You can't
yes.
give them any direction until you validated their feelings
Right.
first. Like that's
right.
kind of
So
goes
it's just
for all
like
of
we
us.
all need that. Yeah.
Yeah. I also find a lot of the stuff that I have felt was most helpful has been like information, particularly about like where kids' brains are. Because I run into the same thing with my eldest daughter that you described with your daughter, where with your sons, it's easy to see shit as not premeditated. Like they're just little monkeys running around doing the next thing in front of them. With my oldest daughter, and I think this is particularly true as kids get like pretty able to articulate themselves, they can seem pretty developed. And so stuff that has helped me has been stuff that is like, here's where a 6-year-old's brain actually is
Right.
and what it can do and what it can't do.
Yes.
Because then sometimes in the moment where it really, really seems like she's being a fucking asshole, it's like,
she's not even capable of having that thought
she's not making
yet.
any choices right now.
Yeah.
And that's hard right now because with my almost 2-year-old and her, my almost 2-year-old will do something really shitty to my eldest.
Yeah.
Because they're almost, they're
Yeah.
almost 2. They don't know what they want. They just take a swing.
Yeah.
And my 6-year-old will respond very poorly.
Yes.
And I'll act like the 6-year-old had a choice.
Right.
And the 2-year-old didn't.
Or like
when the
the
reality
6-year-old's
is,
like a grown up now. Yeah.
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 The reality is
Yeah.
neither of them was making any choices.
Right.
They were just in their
Right.
little reptile brains
Yeah.
being dicks to each other. All right. That's the end of part 1. Come back next week for part 2. It's super dope. Love you. Bye.
Brought to you by Violet Archer in the Case of the Purple Martin.